Hello, and welcome to There's No Place Like Home. This program is sponsored by the Housing Finance Authority of Pinellas County in cooperation with Pinellas County Communications and the Department of Health and Community Services. I'm Kathryn Driver alongside Jane Merlin, your host for today's show. Hello, Jane. How are you today?
I'm doing well, and how are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you.
Good, good. Well, I am very pleased to be joining you on WRXB 1590 AM and Pinellas County Connection TV. And today we're talking about the programs that are offered by the Housing Finance Authority, or the HFA. So, Kathryn, essentially, you're going to be kind of on both sides of the interview chair today, along with our special guest, Karmen Lemburg, who we will introduce in just a moment. But before we do that, I know that you do have a message from the HFA.
I certainly do. The Housing Finance Authority of Pinellas County is offering the First-Time Homebuyers program, Your Key to Home Ownership, helping people in Pinellas, Pasco, and Polk counties make their dreams of home ownership a reality. The First-Time Homebuyers program is for individuals who have never owned a home, have not owned a home in the last 3 years, or are veterans. The HFA offers a low rate on its 30-year fixed-rate mortgage, and if you need a little help with down payment and closing costs, we can help you with that also with the Home Key Second Mortgage. To get your key to home ownership, please call 727-223-6419 or visit our website at www.pinellascounty.org/community/HFA. To reach us for more information or comments about the show, please call us at that same number, which is 727-223-6419, or email newhome@pinellashfa.com. You can also watch past shows on the website or catch us on the YouTube. Jane?
Great information, Kathryn. And, you know, we've talked before on the program about how oftentimes people can come up with the monies for the monthly mortgage payment, but they may not have quite enough to cover the down payment or the closing costs, and that's where your program comes in.
Yes, and in addition to our down payment and closing cost assistance, I know that Pinellas County, as well as several other cities within this county, have down payment assistance and closing cost money available. So, you know, it does make sense to reach out if you are in need of that to, you know, be able to utilize those funds. Very
good point. And one thing we should also mention is the fact that while your program is a first-time homebuyer program, the one that is offered by the county, you don't necessarily have to be a first-time homebuyer. So there's a lot of great programs out there for folks. Just got to do a little bit of research.
Exactly.
Well, I am very pleased to introduce a returning guest to the show, Karmen Lemburg. Karmen is the program administrator with the Housing Finance Authority, and she's got several years' experience in many areas of mortgage finance and has helped numerous individuals and families realize their dream of home ownership. And we certainly want to welcome you back to There's No Place Like Home, Karmen.
Thank you, guys. You know, this is my favorite place to be. It's helping people find homes.
Well, we're so glad that you're here and ready to help even more people. First, let's talk a little bit about your experience. I mentioned that you've got several years' experience helping people, and give us a sense of the kinds of things that you've been involved with.
You know, I've been involved in the home buying process in many different aspects, from loan origination to underwriting, and now to helping with these programs at the Housing Finance Authority and through Pinellas County. And it's been great because throughout the process, I've helped a lot of first-time homebuyers as well as existing homebuyers.
Well, that is awesome. And as you say, you've really been on several different sides of the equation of the home buying process. So you've got a really good understanding of how all of this works, which is really important to the people who are tuning in today.
Definitely, no doubt about that.
Now, let's talk a little bit about the HFA, and either one of you can answer this question, but I'm curious to know when the HFA was actually formed and why it was formed.
Well, around 32 years ago, for us, anyway, the state of Florida enacted legislation to bring about local housing finance authorities. In conjunction with that, many counties in Florida, all of them to be exact, did local ordinances to further those housing finance authorities for each of their counties. So we're backed by the state and then by Pinellas County.
So you're actually also under the Board of County Commissioners?
Yes. We report directly to them. We are an arm of government.
Okay.
Yeah. A special dependent district of the county. So we do report directly to the Board of County Commissioners, and they saw a need for affordable housing, and this was a way for them to meet some of those needs and goals in conjunction with some of their internal departments, just ways to collaborate and, be able to provide affordable housing within the community.
So really kind of looking across the board in terms of some of the other things that are out there for people within the county to be able to have access to. You all kind of really look for those opportunities and actually do some partnerships, don't you?
We do partnerships with counties, with cities, and we also partner with other counties. Currently, we are partnering with Pasco and Polk County as well.
So let me ask you, how does the HFA provide the mortgages? Where does that money come from?
We issue bonds, and those bond monies are used to finance those first mortgages. We issue the bond, and then through lenders, local lenders, we have a specific group of lenders we work with. They actually originate the mortgages, then they work with the home buyers, and then after it all goes through an approval process, we buy through the bond monies those mortgages from those lenders and turn them into securities and put them back in the bond for them, and then the bonds are actually sold on the market to people who buy bonds.
Yes, and because the bonds are tax exempt, we're able to achieve a below market interest rate mortgage for these first-time home buyers, which is an additional assistance to them beyond the down payment and closing cost assistance we have for them. So it's a very great product for folks to utilize.
Now, you mentioned that the bonds are sold to investors, I assume.
Yes, ma'am.
Who are these investors? Are they companies? Are they individuals? Is it both?
It's both. We when we do the sale of the bonds, we have two different order periods. We have a retail order period, which is where they try to sell bonds to individuals like ourselves, and then they have an institutional order period where they try to sell the bonds to large, like insurance companies, mutual funds, folks like that. The interest on the bonds is tax exempt, so it's a very attractive investment vehicle for individuals and institutions.
And I wanted to go back to something that you had mentioned earlier, Kathryn, and that was the fact that your program is for first-time home buyers, though, who have not owned a home in the last 3 years, which almost sounds a little confusing because it's called a first-time home buyer program. But then if you haven't owned a home in the last 3 years, you might qualify for the program. So how does that work?
Yeah, when you go to get your mortgage with one of our participating lenders, they will look at your last 3 years of tax returns. And if you haven't claimed homestead on your taxes in the last 3 years, the government considers you a first-time home buyer. You're kind of like a renewed first-time home buyer. Even if you've owned a home in the past, as long as you haven't owned your principal residence in the past 3 years, you would be considered a first-time home buyer. There's also areas within the county that are considered designated targeted areas, and you do not need to be a first-time home buyer to purchase a home in those areas. And our participating lenders have that information, and that information is also available on our website. So, that's another opportunity for folks who may have already owned a home. They may want to look to find a home in those targeted areas.
What are target areas?
They're federally designated by the government through the Census Bureau, and they're areas that might be a little bit economically distressed, and so they're trying to promote home ownership and revitalization in those areas. So they've waived the first-time home buyer requirement, and there's also increased purchase price and income limits for those areas. So, that's another opportunity for home buyers to look at if they have been a homeowner previously, or if they have maybe slightly higher income than what is allowable under the bond program.
And probably a good opportunity and a good way to kind of help re-energize a neighborhood, those target areas, kind of get them built back up again.
That's our goal. And one more thing I want to mention about the exemption to the first-time home ownership is that if you are a veteran, you do not have to be a first-time home buyer. You can have owned a home within the last 3 years. So veterans we're very generous with them.
Oh, very good to know. Now, one of the things that, and Kathryn mentioned this earlier in her discussion about the first-time home buyer program, that you've got down payment assistance. So what is that assistance?
What it is a second mortgage on your home. It runs with the first. If you qualify for the first, you're automatically eligible for the second. The amounts over time do vary. Currently, it's at 0%. It's deferred until you sell the home, pay off the home, refinance the home, transfer title, or cease to occupy it as your primary residence. And like I said, the amounts do vary depending on the different programs we have out at the time. So you just have to check our website and see what we have out there.
And so where does that money come from that you're able to provide that kind of support and those second mortgages? Is it by virtue that they're paying that back? Is it like a pool of money that you have?
You are correct in part. That money is typically provided either by our own funds from our partners, including the county has at times partnered with us. And then the reason we do have it as a payback and not forgiven is so that we can recycle those funds. We have done some amortizing ones with immediate payback starting. We do some of the deferred ones, and we vary that throughout our different programs depending on what the market needs at the time. As the economy changes, so do people's needs, and we are very sensitive to that. We tailor our programs to fit what's going on in the economy at the time.
I see. And so if somebody wants to take advantage of the down payment assistance, what do they need to do? What kind of steps should they be taking?
It's so easy. We just tell people contact one of the lenders on our list, and that is on our website under participating lenders. And they actually will walk them through the whole process, all what's necessary, how it works. They'll choose the best way to put things together to benefit the borrower the best.
And I know that there's a requirement in your program that folks do have to take a homebuyer education class.
Yes, they have to take a face-to-face 8-hour class. We have one exception. There is one HUD-approved online course that's $50. On our website, we also have classes from several different vendors, and we just try to keep that updated. And they can also go out onto HUD.gov under home buyers and home buyer education, and they can find every vendor in Pinellas, Pasco, Polk County, wherever. And any of those vendors who are HUD certified, they can take the class from them.
Again, most of those classes are free, which is a really great deal, except I know you mentioned the one that's online that's a $50 fee, but that might be for those individuals who really have a hard time being able to devote the evenings or the Saturday class that would be required. So it's a great option, isn't it?
That's correct. And some classes also have some really great training materials. And so while the class itself is free, there might be a $25 or $35 charge for the materials. But I can tell you the books that they get at these classes are tremendous, especially for people who've never owned a home. It's good for them to keep and reference back to, because it's a very daunting process, and you cannot take it all in just 8 hours.
Well, and I think the fact that this is probably going to be the most expensive purchase that you're going to make, and it's so important to get the education that will only help you understand the process and ensure that you're doing everything the right way.
Exactly.
Now, let's shift gears a little bit. We've been talking about home ownership and the program that you have for that, but we know that not everybody is cut out to be a homeowner. Some people like the opportunity to just be able to pick up a phone and call the landlord and say, the air conditioner's not working today, or, some of those kinds of things, whereas homeownership, you are the one, it's the person looking in the mirror who's now responsible for the maintenance of the home. So for those individuals, I know that you actually have programs that assist those who are interested in rental too, don't you?
We certainly do. Just like we issue the single-family mortgage revenue bonds to provide these below-market interest rate mortgages, we also issue multifamily revenue bonds where we partner with affordable multifamily developers, and multifamily would mean for an apartment complex, to either acquire and rehabilitate an existing multifamily project, or perhaps build a new multifamily project that is targeted towards folks at or below 80% of median income, various targeting areas within the income strata. And we have several projects that are outstanding right now, and they're listed on our website. And you can check and call them to see if they have availability within their complexes for, below market rental rates that you wouldn't pay at a normal market rate apartment complex.
And I know one example of a community that was built, gosh, I think it's been a couple of years now, but the Bayside Courts over on Clearwater Largo Road.
Yes, that's a fabulous project, just fabulous.
Tell us a little bit about that, Karmen, since you're familiar with that one.
I actually just love that project. It is what's called a mixed rate property where there is market rate units and affordable units. Beautiful. There's a pool. There's a child play area. If you get a chance to drive by, it'll give you a real good idea of the types of projects we build. The units inside have high quality appliances, tile floors. They're really done very nicely, and by doing the mixed rate, you don't just concentrate everybody into one area, and it allows people of all different incomes to be together. The properties must be well maintained. That's something we are very particular about during the time that we're involved with the properties, is they have to be well maintained, and we try to put them in areas that are good locations where they can access transportation, they can access jobs, and really help build the community as a whole.
That's real important. You talk about the maintenance and the upkeep of these properties. I understand that there is an actual monitoring process that is associated with these communities. Tell us a little bit about how that works.
Every year, the properties are monitored. There are physical inspections done on the units and on the grounds to make sure they're being maintained. And then the records are also investigated and gone through to ensure that for the units that are affordable, that they do have affordable families in there that meet the income requirements, whether they be 80% of the average income or 60%. And we look at all those files and we make sure that they are indeed in line with all of the federal and state and local regulations. And we teach them how to do this up front, but we go out annually to make sure this is being maintained. And if they have any questions or concerns, we address them at that time. Of course, they're always welcome to call. We have a company right now that does the majority of our monitoring for our multifamily projects, but they're always allowed to call for help if they need it.
That's great, because you're really able to protect the investment, aren't you?
Exactly.
And you brought up the fact that some of these are built with federal dollars or state or local, so it's really a good way to keep that investment in check.
Right, and these projects are not what folks think of when they think of affordable housing units. These aren't the public housing units of the 70s and 80s. These are absolutely beautiful properties. They're very well maintained, and I think folks would be very surprised if they drove around and took a look at them. And the people are very proud to be living there, and they take pride in living there and keeping the properties nice.
And one of the other things I know that has for a long time been very important to the HFA is those properties that you're actually giving new life, and that's a good example with Bayside Courts, isn't it?
Exactly. We are really seeing a resurgence of the acquisition and rehabilitation of these multifamily projects, and sometimes even taking old motels and acquiring those and rehabilitating those to maybe a small apartment community, maybe of 10 or 20 units, but taking something that might have been a blight on the community and putting something really nice in that place, maybe an old mobile home park that then was transformed into a beautiful community. So it's really doing great things for the community and the people in the community and the neighbors in that community as well.
And it certainly helps to kind of revitalize the entire area when you're able to go in, as you say, and take something that was once a blighted community, and now you turn it into oftentimes the best property on the block.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Norton Apartments was a very good example of that. It was a very rundown property. We went in, we were able to rehab it, and everything turned out beautifully.
And that's located in the Clearwater area, I believe.
Yes.
One of the other things I know that is also important to you is the environmental aspects. We talk about repurposing the properties. That's a great example of environmental stewardship. But I know that you also look for those opportunities to do things within those communities that provide enhancements. Give us some examples of some of those kinds of things that you do.
We do. Not all of our properties are LEED certified, but we do have some that are, and we do look to put green enhancements in for energy savings for everyone. It just helps make them more affordable if there's energy saving, right down to energy saving appliances, the lights that we put in, insulation. We look at that when people bring us their designs to see how much of that they have incorporated in there.
And, that's, I think, one of the things that is so important about the work that you're doing and all of the partners that are coming together to plan these communities. It's looking at the entire package, if you will, from the affordability aspects for being able to get people into these nice places to live. But as you mentioned, the affordability on an ongoing basis, it's critical for people.
Right, and a lot of our partners, do work across the United States, so they're bringing us really great ideas of things they see in other areas in the United States that have been very unique or innovative, and, we're just very pleased with the partners that we've, used in the past, and I think that we've brought some very good innovative ideas here to Pinellas County.
So taking the best practices from across the country and bringing them right here to Pinellas.
Yes. And, and we are really focusing right now. We would really like to partner with even more people. So if there's anybody out there that's, a developer looking to do some developing in Pinellas County, come and talk to us because we would really like to work with you.
Well, let's talk about that briefly because you do have opportunities to work with different developers and investors. And how does all of that work?
Well, somebody comes up with an idea of a development that they want to do, and then we kind of think of where can we get additional funding, who can we bring on that will have ideas that could act as a management company that has experience in this type of leasing and maintaining of the property. And so, everybody just comes together. It's a really beautiful thing. And they come up together with great ideas and bringing financing and different leveraging tools to the table. And we can put a beautiful product in place.
That's a really important point. You mentioned the leveraging and the fact that by doing all of that, it's not just one entity that's having to come up with a certain amount of money because, let's face it, those developments are very expensive. We're talking millions of dollars, right?
Exactly. And then every community can have, a little piece of it and have some pride in that, the county was able to put some money in and the housing authority contributed some money and perhaps the city did, or maybe a local nonprofit, or, there were some federal grant dollars. It's just really great when you can say that all of these people came together to make this happen.
Well, speaking of another great project that has recently happened, want to talk about Pinellas Heights, because I know that there was a groundbreaking held, I think it was back in June, May or June. There was a celebration about Pinellas Heights being opened. Tell us about that really exciting project.
Yes, I was at that ribbon cutting, and it was a really great day. This project is absolutely beautiful. It was a rundown shopping center located next to the Pinellas County Housing Authority, this was their brainchild to come up with this. It is a 154-unit senior affordable housing development, so it's for seniors, and all of the units are for seniors who are at or below 60% of the average area median income. This project has everything. It is so beautiful, and to see the residents that had already moved in by the time we had the ribbon cutting, they were so proud. They wanted to show you their clubhouse. They wanted to show you their units. It's just spectacular, and if you have the chance to drive by and see it, it's it's truly an amazing transformation from a once blighted shopping center that had been vacant for I don't even know how long to this absolutely beautiful facility that folks are so proud of.
And there are a lot of, I was reading about this, and I saw that there were a number of amenities, great amenities tied in with the complex. I think there's a walking trail or something.
Yeah, they have a walking trail. They have, like Karmen was mentioning, they have a lot of green innovations that they've put into the project to make it energy efficient. They have a lot of activities on site for the seniors. They have buses that will take them to places that they need to go to, whether it's shopping or for little day trips, things like that. So it's really a great thing, and it was a really big need here in this community, and that was evidenced by how quickly it leased up, and there's a waiting list now. So, we're hoping to see more developments like that, because obviously there is a big need for that in this area.
So it was just built, and it's already 100% leased up. There's a waiting list now?
Yes, that's correct.
Wow, that really does show that there's a huge need for properties like this.
Sure does.
What else are you all working on? And anything new that you can share that we can expect to see soon that's going to be in development?
Well, we're working right now with a developer. They are doing an acquisition rehab of 2 properties that are in Clearwater. They're both Section 8 properties, and they're going to be renovating those properties and making them more energy efficient by adding some green features and sprucing up the properties to make them look a lot nicer. And they were able to extend the HAP contracts as well, so those will continue to stay as affordable housing. So we're really excited about that. Anytime that we can take a property that's a little bit tired and run down and make it new again and spruce it up, we're very excited about that. We're, as Karmen mentioned, we're trying to find more developers who are interested in coming into this area, so we're welcoming, that partnership as well. And, Karmen can talk about some of our maybe new and upcoming things with our single-family program.
We are getting ready to roll out a new single-family program within the next couple of weeks, and we are working on the details of that. But it's going to be bigger and better than ever. And
you mean you can't tell us the specifics now? We got to wait?
Well, we are still going to be able to maintain, I will tell you our mortgage rate. We are going to be able to maintain the rate on our first mortgage at 3.99% for a 30-year fixed. And we still will have the down payment component. We are working on the details of that. But we are very, very excited that we are going to be able to continue our program. And it's actually going to be one of the biggest bonds that we've issued in a long, long time. So we're very excited about that.
Well, I guess I'm just going to have to keep checking back on the website to hear all the great information about that. Why don't you give that website one more time, Karmen?
It's www.pinellascounty.org/community/HFA.
Well, I really appreciate the information that both of you have given today.
Teamwork.
Yes, great teamwork. Karmen Lemburg, Program Administrator with the Housing Finance Authority. Thank you for all of the wonderful information and the updates. And Kathryn, thank you for all of your great information today,
You're
too.
welcome.
Had you on kind of both sides of the interview panel today.
Yes.
It's been great, and I wish you continued success with your programs and helping folks get into some great affordable housing that particularly important to me, that has a lot of great energy efficiency features to it, and keeping it affordable for folks. So keep up the great work.
Thank you.
A special thanks and shout out to our friends with Pinellas County Communications Department and, of course, WRXB 1590 AM. Join us again next month, and please do give us a call if you'd like more information about this show or would like to provide feedback. We always enjoy hearing from folks who are tuning in. I'm Jane Merlin.
And I'm Kathryn Driver.
Thanks for tuning in. And remember, there's no place like home.